Donald Trump could beat Joe Biden. I just want to say this. I think there's this misconception, and I fall victim to it too now as somebody who no longer supports Trump, that Trump voters are just people who stormed the Capitol on January 6th. They're not. We walk by them every day. They're tens of millions of Americans. A lot of my family members are literally only not voting for Trump because he's called me mean names, and they'll be like, my 401k was better, my grocery, prices were cheaper then. That is a reality. There are tens of millions of people who still support him. I spent a lot of time in Florida and New Hampshire, and there is an energy there. So I think I'm focused on the Republican primary, which is looking bleak, but there is a very real reality that Joe Biden could lose to Donald Trump.
Trump may actually do this thing. This video is brought to you by TatumStore.com. TatumStore.com. Get the merch link in the description section. Like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell so you get a notification. Anytime I go live, make a video, make sure you still subscribe to this channel. Like this video. Comments for this video. Let's get into this. Ladies and gentlemen and ladies, Donald Trump is moving ahead, moving along strong. And I say this because I like to be transparent. There's some things that Donald Trump did in his last presidency, some things in the election that he did in 2020. There's some things he's done recently that I don't like. But none of that will dictate whether or not I'm going to vote for him. The reason why I'm voting for Trump or I would not vote for Trump is policy. There is no policy agenda that he is willing to or have made commitments to put in place that is detrimental to our country, in my opinion. There's some things he's weak on, like abortion, but nothing that he plans to implement will be detrimental to our country. I think most of everything he implements or he plans to implement would benefit our country. Now, can he execute that? Is he gonna, who wants to work for him? I guess we'll figure out that at the finish line, or figure that out at the finish line. I do know for a fact that Joe Biden ain't got a chance. And these polls are proving that Joe Biden ain't got a chance. But let's first listen to the cackling hens on The View and that pretty girl that's a wasted face because she's a feckless fake Republican, and that other Mexican girl who's a Democrat, and they still got her on the show talking about she a Republican. Let's listen to The View have a meltdown first, and then we're going to talk about the Post wrote a film.
In the New York Times Siena poll, President Biden trails you-know-who in 5 of the 6
Whoopi Gold turd. Can't even say his name. You dirty. Let me keep going.
Key battle
Man,
states,
these people irritate me.
battleground states. I'm not sure what my question is, but what do you think of it?
Listen, polls aren't perfect, and I was a victim of thinking the red wave was coming.
Wasted face. That face is wasted.
And it certainly didn't materialize. But I do think there's enough here that it needs to be a wake-up call to Democrats that Donald Trump could beat Joe Biden. Rachel Maddow, one of the, I think, smartest Democrats I can think.
Rachel Maddow, one of the smartest Democrats. What a wasted. God, come on. Really? Now, she little, so she ain't that, but she got a pretty face. And she just, the face is pretty, but the brain is dumb and ugly. Anyway, let me keep.
Said it here on our airwaves. My friend David Axelrod, he loves Joe Biden. He wants Joe Biden to win. He is warning because he knows the threat that Donald Trump poses to the nation. And I think when you have such a plurality of prominent Democrats, you've got, James Carville, David Ignatius, Congresswoman Jayapal warning about this, it's because they're thinking about the future of the country if it is under Donald Trump. And I just want to say this.
No, you are too. You fake Republican. You feel like they do.
I think there's this misconception, and I fall victim to it too now as somebody who no longer supports Trump, that Trump voters are just people who stormed the Capitol on January 6th. They're not. We walk by them every day. They're tens of millions of Americans. A lot of my family members are literally only not voting for Trump because he's called me mean names.
Stupid! You just admitted your family is ignorant. That's like emotional, ignorant Americans. The reason. We're not voting for Trump because he called you bad names. Shut the front door.
And they'll be like, my 401k was better. My grocery, prices were cheaper then.
But I'm not going to vote for him because I'm an idiot.
That is a reality. There are tens of millions of people who still support him. I spent a lot of time in Florida and New Hampshire, and there is an energy there. So I think I'm focused on the Republican primary, which is looking bleak. But there is a very real reality that Joe Biden could lose to Donald Trump, and I think Democrats need to take it seriously.
I would tend to agree.
Unless they cheat.
I'm shocked that people still are supporting this probable criminal. But what I will say, there's a brighter side to this because.
All right, she goes on to say there's a brighter side to this because 6% of people said that they wouldn't vote for Trump if he got indicted. Now, the brighter side of it is that if he don't get indicted, he going to win in a landslide. Now, let's look at the numbers because the Cackling Hens have made their statements. I didn't even play the Navarro. I mean, what's her name? Navarro or whatever her name is, that idiot. I didn't play her because it'll waste your brain cells. Let's play this clip of the actual polls and what they look like. Roll the clip.
Nomination, Donald Trump currently has what appears to be a major edge over President Biden on two key issues. First off, the economy. In our CBS News poll, only 18% of likely voters said that they'd be financially better off if.
There's no way Biden could win an election like this. Look at that number. 18% versus 45%. Most people feel like they will not be financially better with Biden. How does he win an election? 18, it ain't even close. Okay.
Mr. Biden wins re-election, while 45% said they'd be better off if.
I think y'all need to look at this too. 48% said it's going to get worse. Less people think it's going to be worse under Trump. Okay.
Trump wins. When it comes to foreign affairs, only 31% think that President Biden's policies would increase peace and stability compared to 47% for Trump. Now, part of the
and more people think it's going to decrease under Biden. See, they have these numbers, and then you forget to go down here. They think this is going to increase. No, more people think Trump will increase. Decrease, yes. Most people think it'll decrease safety and security and stability under Biden. Every key issue he's losing on. That matters.
challenge for Mr. Biden here is that people are simply pretty pessimistic at the moment. 73% said that things are just going badly in America right now, and that's up from 65% at the start of the year. So voters just don't feel great about where things stand right now, despite the fact that we've seen several months of strong job growth and shrinking inflation. Gail?
Well, we're about 100.
And them interest rates ain't going down. Them interest rates ain't going down. I just want y'all to know that. Them interest rates still going like this. It don't matter if inflation go down. The interest rate, I could talk about this for 100 years. The economy cannot flourish and grow if interest rates are going to continue to be going up. You get a house, you buy a car in 2020 with great credit, 2%. Now, 9%. That's unbelievable. Think about getting a house. The house that you could afford in 2020 and you only paid $1,700 a month, that same house 3 years later or so is now you paying $2,500, $3,000 a month. It was like $1,700 and now it's $3,000 a month. You just got priced out of a house you could afford 3 years ago. I mean, not even half of it. Your stuff is doubled. And that's if you have excellent credit. If your credit is not excellent, your interest rates are unbelievable. How can people buy homes? How can people buy cars and any of those things that or make investments? It's difficult.
100 days out now. We should also point out that the CBS News poll, not the only one showing bad news for President Biden. So what do you see in some of the states known as those battleground states that will probably
it gets
decide
worse.
this election? What are you seeing there?
Yeah, this really caught a lot of Democrats by surprise, Gail. A New York Times poll of 6 battleground states that President Biden won back in 2020. Now in 5 out of 6 of those states, Mr. Biden is
Thank God for Arizona because I'm starting to lose hope in y'all. Anyway.
trailing Donald Trump. He's behind by 5 in Arizona, 6 in Georgia, and a startling 10 points in Nevada.
So they go on to say that when Barack Obama was running for office, he was in a similar position. So they don't think that Donald Trump is in that bad of a position or that much of an advantageous position as compared to what it appears to be. But let me say the difference between Biden and Biden and Obama. Obama was already president. He was a black man as the president. So he had that lingering ideology that we should give him a second chance. And I think he was far more charismatic than Mitt Romney. So when it was up for re-election, you look at the playing field of the Republicans, you're like, none of them are even worth a dime in comparison to Barack Obama. They can't talk as good as Barack Obama. You know, I think people were hesitant to put him out of office out of fear of backlash, and he was still young. And they hadn't had a taste of the worst president on planet Earth, which means that now that they've had a taste of how bad Democrats are doing in the political arena, there is no coming back for Joe Biden. He's not getting any younger. He's old, decrepit. He's falling up and down stairs. He can't even talk straight. The world is going to a mess. Finances is going into a mess. Your 401k is getting ready to jump off a cliff. All of this under Biden, when they already had an example of great success under Trump, and now under Biden, they've seen the worst president in American history, far worse than what Barack Obama could have ever dreamed of in a nightmare. And so that's why there's no recovering for Joe Biden. Joe Biden is going to drop out. They're going to put Gavin Newsom or somebody else in to run against Trump. If Trump don't get indicted on these charges, he's going to be 50 points ahead of Joe Biden or any other Democrat that runs for office. I almost guarantee you. I'll talk about we could talk about it on the next video. I'll see you on the next one now.